I'd like to invite Gail Bohannon to come forward and lead us in the pledge. We'd all stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight, I'd like to honor Aubrey Reeves, who, if you'll look at the plaque on the overhead, he served as on our fire department for 38 years. He began his career in public service as a volunteer firefighter in 1945, became chief in 1958, where he served for another 25 years. And we want to recognize his contribution to the city of Roswell. I want to thank the fire department for the nice going home that ceremony you had for him. And if Chief Spencer, if you'd come forward, and we'd like to tell us some more stories about Chief Reeves. I don't want to hear the stories you hold at the services today, new stories.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a very nice ceremony today. I think everyone enjoyed it. I know the Chief would have been proud. As the Mayor said, Chief Reeves was with the Roswell Volunteer Fire Department for several years, and for 25 years of his time he was the Chief of the department. He was a very respected citizen, gentleman, and fire chief. He was always looking to make the Roswell Fire Department better through training, apparatus, tools, and equipment. And even in the early days, the Mayor and Council was always so supportive of the fire department as you are today, and we appreciate that. In 1950, Aubrey Reeves was the main man when it came to buying a new fire truck for the city of Roswell. The Businessmen Association of Roswell gathered up funds in 1950 and purchased a brand new fire truck. Today, that truck carried Chief Aubrey Reeves to his final resting place. And that truck is in our museum, and it will be there from this day forward.
And it cranked right up.
Cranks every time. They don't make them like that no more, Mayor. Chief Reeves constructed several fire stations while he was chief of the department, and today we have 7 fire stations in Roswell. In 1981, we moved out of the old 3-bay back-end fire station on Alpharetta Street and moved out to the newly renovated old Chevrolet dealership, which was a great time for us. Chief Reeves established the Fire Marshal's office in 1980, and today we have a premier Fire Marshal's office, which inspects all the business in Roswell, make sure that the city is fire safe. In 2008, Chief Reeves was given the honor of having Fire Station Number 1 dedicated to him in a ceremony, which many of you were at, and that was he came to me and told me that was the best thing that had ever happened to him. And it just brought tears to your eyes. Chief Reeves left a very positive mark on the fire department. And we're going to carry that tradition on from this day forward, because he was a great man. He was loved by everyone, and he'll be truly missed. And Mayor and Council, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come up and speak some good things about Chief Reeves, because he was a great fire chief. Thank you.
Chief Spencer, thank you very much. Chief Reeves really did build the foundation for the great fire department we have today. It's humbling to be working for a city that he helped build, and we all owe him and his contemporaries a large debt, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chief
Thank
Spencer. Yes. Councilmember Price.
It was a truly remarkable ceremony celebrating the life of Chief Reeves. But the thing that really struck me was, one, the esprit de corps of the fire department and the execution of this flawless and intricate ceremony. It really made me proud of the department and, moreover, confident in anything that you undertake with such precision and dedication. So thank you very much for a job well done.
This time I'd like to recognize the committee who is helping us with Black History Month and ask them to come forward and tell us about all the things that we're planning for the month of February to bring culture, light, and excitement and fun to Roswell in this, to overcome this weather we're facing right now.
Exactly. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of council. Yep, that's right. Once again, it's Roswell Roots time. February, as we know, is Black History Month, and Roswell goes all out to celebrate Black History Month. We have what we believe to be the largest Black History Month celebration in the state of Georgia, if not in the Southeast. This year we have 15 different events and 5-month-long exhibits. And I've got members of the Roswell Volunteer Steering Committee with us here today, and I'm going to let them help me in describing some of the events. But let me just introduce who's with us. We've got Lou Conti, who's the director of the library, Jess Wells, of course, who's our cultural affairs coordinator, Chuck Douglas from Smith, Marie Epps, who's a volunteer, Brandy, who's our programs coordinator, and Gail. Gail Bohannon with the Groveway Group. There are a couple folks
Gail
who
is the one who actually began this.
Gail's been doing a Black History program for many, many years, and that's what was the kernel that we built this whole festival around, that foundational program. Pam Billingsley and Robert couldn't be with us. We have Terry Shields from Pleasant Hill Church, and Pastor Frank Lewis couldn't be with us either, as well as Philip Carroll, who's involved with the Atlanta Jazz Preservation Society, wasn't able to be with us. And a couple of other special guests I'll introduce in a minute. But before they tell us the details of the program, I have a very short little video I'd like to show, which is our promotional video.
Experience something exciting in Roswell during Black History Month. The Roswell Roots Festival of Black History and Culture is bigger and better in 2012 with events and exhibits throughout February. Featuring 5 month-long exhibits and 15 cultural events, there's lots of fun and excitement with something for everyone, including the McIntosh County Shouters in concert. Enjoy the rich history and contemporary culture at the largest and most comprehensive celebration in Georgia. For details and event tickets, visit RoswellRoots.com.
That's on the website. So, Chuck, if you'd like to start, tell us about your events.
Okay, so it's hard to believe this, but this will be our 10th annual Tea and Hat Show.
It gets better every year.
Yes, it's one of our greatest things we do every year, and we were so successful. Last year we had to move it to the Adult Rec Center because we were doing 4 teas on 2 different Saturdays. So now we can accommodate a larger crowd, and we do a traditional tea, and then we have a hat and fashion show. The last few years, Renelle Washington, who is really quite a fashion expert, and she represents Grace Marks hats, which have won at Ascot as well as Kentucky Derby Best Hat around. And this year we're having a group called the Wilburn Sisters, who are from Atlanta and Los Angeles, and they design all kinds of really cool clothing, and you also get a free ticket with your price of your ticket to the Tea and Hat Show. You get admission to the Smith Plantation another time, and we've just gotten a lot of great publicity over the years. It's really been a great event for Roswell. So thank you.
Hi, I'm talking about the Unity Concert. It's a real treasure that entertains and inspires young and old alike. Over 200 talented vocalists come together from different churches in the community to perform their favorite selections and then join together at the very end to sing Lift Every Voice in unison. This year's choirs include the host church Zion Missionary Baptist Church, Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, Roswell Presbyterian Church, and this year Unitarian Universalist Church of Roswell, and then always the Greater Atlanta Adventist Academy Choir. And that consists of over 80 9th through 12th graders who really have outstanding musical ability. The powerful performance leaves everyone feeling a special sense of community, and this event is free and takes place on Friday, February 3rd at 7 p.m. And I'm also going to share with you the inaugural event, the Cornbread Cook-Off. This is going to take place at the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church Community Center and includes both professional and amateur categories. Expect to see all kinds of varieties: buttermilk, sweet, crackling, and Mexican cornbreads. Guests are invited to enjoy bite-sized samples of cornbread and vote for their favorites. And Susan Puckett, who was a food editor for the AJC, is going to be the distinguished judge for the event. There's going to be awards given based on taste, appearance, consistency, and aroma. So we anticipate a fun and festive turnout to honor this traditional Southern staple. And the event's free, and it takes place on Saturday, February 25th from 1 to 3 p.m. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marie Epps, and I'm the Vice President, Broadway Community Group. And just some information, our presentation entitled Keep On Pushing will be held on Sunday, February 5th at 2:30 p.m. at the Cultural Arts Center. We're also going to have a special event from 1 to 2, meet and greet Mr. Milton Hines. He is the painter. His work is on the cover of the Roswell Roots program. And if you need to read more, it's on the back of the program. Some of our guests will be Miss Shanita Morris. She's a Christian comedian. Women of Victory, New Life Presbyterian Church from College Park, they're praise dancers. Spirit of Praise Dancers from Pleasant Hill Missionary Baptist Church, as well as the Mighty Praisers of Zion Missionary Baptist Church. So looking forward to seeing you all there on that Sunday, February 5th. Thank you.
Thank you.
As a librarian, I'm always bringing books here, and I have more today. Our programs at the library will all be book-oriented. On Sunday, February 12th, we will have Willie Mae Crump, who is a local resident. She's written a book of poetry, Rhymes for Reasons, a personal journey of prose and prayer. She'll be reading from her poetry and then signing her book. On February 18th, a Saturday, we are having Dr. Curtis M. Graves, who is the retired Deputy Director for Civil Affairs at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. He'll discuss his career at NASA, and he'll talk about the achievements of African American astronauts and scientists at NASA. On February 25th, another Saturday in the afternoon, we will have Calvin Ramsey, who has written several books for children, but he's also written plays. Two of the books I have here, Ruth and the Green Book and Belle, the Last Mule at Gee's Bend. They are kind of African American history in a picture book format for children. All of our programs are multi-generational, so they're for anyone of any age who might want to come.
Good evening. In the lobby of the Cultural Arts Center for the month of February, we're going to be presenting an exhibition entitled Painting My Way Out of Hell, the artwork of Milton Vines. Milton is a local resident of the Roswell Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Following a paralyzing accident 10 years ago, Milton discovered the joys of painting. Self-taught, Milton's work ranges from abstract to representational, all with a strong sense of image and a wonderfully vivid color palette. The performing arts are also going to be on display during the Roswell Roots Festival. Bright Star Touring Theater will be bringing their acclaimed performance of Heroes of the Underground Railroad to several Roswell schools. Heroes of the Underground Railroad celebrates those heroic and often forgotten Americans who dared to shed light during one of America's darkest chapters. Levi Coffin, Henry Box Brown, John Parker, Harriet Tubman, and more all come to life in this engaging production. Selected twice to perform at the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, the show will be performing locally at Sweet Apple Elementary, Roswell North Elementary, Mimosa Elementary, and Crabapple Middle School. A special public performance will also be given at the Teaching Museum North on Wednesday, February 1st at 7:30 p.m. And then, on February 9th at 8 p.m. at the Cultural Arts Center, we'll be presenting our flagship program for the Roswell Roots Festival. The McIntosh County Shouters will be performing following a very special introduction from musician, artist, and author Arthur Rosenbaum. The Shouters have been designated by the National Endowment for the Arts as Master Artists of the Authentic Ring Shout. From McIntosh County, Georgia, they perform traditional call and response, song, and dance. All of the songs have plantation origins and are historically important as examples of communication and expressions of faith. The Shouters have performed at the Kennedy Center as well as the Library of Congress, and we are excited to have them come to the Cultural Arts Center stage. Thank you.
Thank you.
And each of you has 2 tickets to that concert. That's what's in the envelope for you there. We really, really hope you will join us for that. And last but not least, I wanted to mention the Poetry Slam. It's one of the mayor's favorite events. And if our special guest would step forward, our Poetry Slam has really, really grown, and we've had to move to a new space. We're moving it over to the Teaching Museum to accommodate a larger crowd. Right. And we've also slightly changed the format this year because of the generosity of Terry's not coming forward, but Terry Hensel is here representing the Georgia Poetry Society. He has brought you a copy of the poetry book you have, and they have provided the first place prize over the years of $300, but they have upped the ante this year, so our first place prize is now $500, and we'll be giving prizes all the way down to 5th place of $100. In addition, we have decided to invite some nationally recognized poets, so there's going to be an invitational round of poetry, which means we're going to have some really incredible national talent.
I can't stay up till 12.
No, it won't be any later. It'll be the same time frame. But just to give you a slight taste, Mr. Iadele Heath, who is a national award-winning poet and has been our Poetry Slam host for many years now, is going to give you one of his pieces just to entice you to please come to the slam. So, Aya.
Good evening.
Y'all need to sit down so the audience can see. Iadele, you need to be talking to the folks out there, too.
Oh, I need to turn around? I don't want to turn my back to you.
Get over here to the side so we can all see you.
Okay.
And your voice carries. Wait a minute, there's a mic. Give him a mic.
The mic? Well, I have a big mouth. I can be heard, right? So I'm going to be very brief here. So this piece, in celebration of Black History Month and the resilience of the African American spirit, is a celebration of a word, a contraction actually, which every mother in the English-speaking world and every English teacher has sought to root out. But the word, the contraction, has again been resilient, and this is a celebration of it. It's called etymology of ain't. Ain't used to be ain't, which comes from am not, as in I ain't you, but also is not, as in he ain't me, but also have not, as in I ain't been and don't want to be. Ain't is a state of that which is not. Ain't is a state in the American South. Ain't country, ain't hip-hop, ain't nappy, ain't cornrows, ain't dreadlocks, ain't ignores dress codes, no shoes, no socks, ain't wears no drawers, don't own any. Ain't never apologized for being, ain't never been apologetic. Some say ain't no future in ain't, and ain't what it used to be. But whatever ain't is ain't. Ain't metaphysical. Is you is, what is you ain't. I ain't no hate. Ain't never been 3/5 of nothing. Ain't trying to be no more than I am. I is whole. Before I was born, I was all. Someplace ain't's tombstone between tears and twas. But ain't stands defiantly as don't and won't. Tar and feather me. Burn me down. I ain't supposed to be here. But I is.
Iadele, Deli, you can tell them how the Poetry Slam works, because most of these folks probably haven't been to one.
It's competitive
Well, get
poetry.
Deli to tell us how, because he's the man.
Okay, so I am your MC on the night. It usually lasts about 2.5 hours, and so poets come in, amateur poets and poets who've been performing all around the country, and they compete. The audience is engaged. We give 5 scorecards to random audience members, so everyone from janitors to English PhDs could be a potential judge. You judge the poets from 0 to 10. You drop the high score, you drop the low score, and you do some fancy math, and then you get a winner at the end of the night. But it's really like high stakes. $500 for the first prize winner, $100 down to the 5th prize, and you see some of the most fantastic performers, not just in our local area, but across the country. These poets have won competitions all over the country, and it's just a fantastic night. So if you're in town February 17th, oh Lord, yeah, the 17th I believe is the third Thursday, and 16th, okay, yeah, leap year. The 16th, so come out if you're in town. It's free and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's what it's about.
Thank you.
All right.
That's just a little sample of what we're going to get in February to bring an otherwise dreary month, to bring culture and life and light to Roswell. And I want to thank everyone who once again makes this possible. These are all great events. Even if you can't make them all, try to make a couple. Of the Unity Concert, you'll hear the best music of the year. The Poetry Slam is an exciting time. I'm looking forward to the cornbread cook-off. I love crackling bread. And so these are all great events. The McIntosh County Shouters is going to be wonderful. So enjoy February. We're going to bring a lot of life and excitement to Roswell, and thank you for bringing it. So let's have one more hand for the Roswell Roots Festival group. Which brings me to the last thing on my agenda, other than the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the reappointment to the Planning Commission of Cheryl Greenway? Motion by Councilmember Wynn, second by Councilmember Price. All in favor, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Yes. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion by Councilmember Diamond. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. Does anyone in the audience have any questions regarding the consent agenda? All in favor, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time we'll call upon in Administration and Finance Department, Councilmember Rich DiPolito. Oh, if you're more interested in Roswell Roots Festival, we have flyers. Where are the flyers, Julie? As you leave, you can pick up one. Join us for some exciting things in February.
This item is recognition of the City of Roswell receiving the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the FY12 budget from the Government Finance Officers Association. And Mr. Fisher is going to explain to us that this is a fairly prestigious award. Mr. Fisher.
That's correct. Thank you, Councilmember DiPolito, Mayor, and Council. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. The City of Roswell has been awarded this award, this is Distinguished Budget Presentation Award by the Governmental Finance Officers Association. It's a nationally recognized award. This is the 8th consecutive year that the City of Roswell has received this award. I might want to point that out. It reflects the highest standards of budgeting practices. Our budget document gets submitted to this award program, and it's reviewed not only by the GFOA professional staff, but also by outside reviewers that have experience in public sector budgeting. This award was presented to approximately 1,250 governmental units. I want to let you know there's about 87,000 qualified governmental units within the United States, so that brings us to about 1.5% of any government is able to receive this award. And as I said, the City of Roswell has received it now for 8 years in a row. There have been a couple of governments within Fulton County MARTA for one, the Atlanta Public Schools, College Park, the county itself, along with Alpharetta, have received it in the past, but we received it for the 8th year in a row. So we're pretty excited about that. I have our city's budget director, Keith Lee, here, and he's going to present the award and just tell you a little bit about some of the measures and the outcomes of the award. Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Council members, the budget that we have is evaluated, as Mr. Fisher said, by professional staff of GFOA and professionals across the nation that develop budgets and manage financial resources for governments. They review budgets as a communication tool, and within our budget, that would be how we communicate our strategic goals or short and long-term impacts on our operating budget. They also evaluate it as a policy document. That would be where we detail our policies on our use of fund balance or how we intend to develop our budget for the upcoming year, or our financial procedures in dealing with encumbrances or accrual processes. It's also an operational guide where we explain our capital plans and those impacts of capital expenditures on our operating budget. It's also a financial plan where we outline financial trends and organize our fund level detail. The reviewers of our budget indicated that our financial policies are well presented with good detail and are easy to understand. The detail and explanation of uses and fund balance is appropriate and easy to understand in the fund sections. The estimated impact of capital purchases on the operating budget is easy to understand and detailed in nice format. Overall, the staff, and that would be Denise Brown and Lynn Williams, as well as the liaisons and department heads across this city, have produced a good budget document and should be congratulated for its fine accomplishment. So with that, I'll present to the city the Distinguished Budget Award for FY11.
Let's have a hand for this great department.
Mr. Mayor, Lynn is actually not feeling well tonight, so she's not here, but Denise is here.
She did make it.
Oh, she is here. Lynn, there she is. Y'all stand up for a minute. I want to recognize Lynn and Denise and some of the staff from the budget office.
Thank you for bringing that to Roswell 8 years in a row. And I just want to compliment you and the council, not only for that award, but for an even more important distinction, and that is the AAA bond rating this city holds. I was at a breakfast this morning, and the governor was bragging about the state of Georgia as being one of 3 states with a AAA bond rating, but we're one of about less than 50 cities nationally with a AAA bond rating, and a better bond rating than all but 3 states, and a better bond rating than our federal government. And I think a lot goes to the great budgeting department and having a budget that this council can understand. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
One more hand for these folks. They do a great job. Next, I'll recognize Kay Love to call the Public Works agenda. Councilman Eigelhart is not well this evening. He's absent with an excuse.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is a presentation of the Keep America Beautiful 2011 President's Circle Award to the Keep Roswell Beautiful. Mr. Maury?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. As the director of the Environmental and Public Works Department, I take a great deal of pride in having our department serve as liaison to Keep Roswell Beautiful. You all know the great things that KRB accomplishes on our behalf, working with our staff, and once again they have won the President's Circle Award. Craig Voth, a board member of Keep Roswell Beautiful, is here to make some remarks on behalf of Keep Roswell Beautiful and to present that award. Along with Kim Weber, the chairman, Janet, and other board members.
And actually, Richie Deason will be presenting the award.
I got here a little bit earlier than he did, so I got the notes. Keep Roswell Beautiful received the President's Circle Award from the Keep America Beautiful. This award is our ninth consecutive year of getting this award. This award is given to affiliate clubs that maintain an exemplary relationship with the national club. This reward is for submitting all of our reports, such as the litter index, the annual report, semi-annual report, also participation in the Great American Cleanup events. We do that with Big Creek Workday, bulky trash collection, and Adopt a Road cleanups. We also receive this for participation in the training of our executive director and our board members in national conferences and Georgia conferences. And this wouldn't be possible without the support of the mayor, the council, the public works, and the environmental department. And I wanted to present this to Kim Weber, our Madam Chairman of the Keep Roswell Beautiful Board.
On behalf of the council and the citizens of Roswell, I want to thank the volunteers of Keep Roswell Beautiful for keeping Roswell beautiful. You do a great job every year, and it shows. And you thank the city, but the city really owes the thanks to you for all the volunteer efforts and for the wonderful staff support that you receive. We get a great return on the little bit of staff time. We probably maybe half a person for the job, and we get thousands of hours of volunteer work cleaning up Roswell, and we appreciate it so much. So one more hand for these great people. Thank you. And we'll get down to serious business now, and I will call Community Development Liaison Councilmember Nancy Diamond.
Thank you, sir. This is approval to award a contract for the Historical Gateway Master Plan project in the amount of $110,000, and Alice Wakefield will tell us more about it.
Thank you. As was stated, we're requesting approval to award a contract for the Historic Gateway Master Plan in the amount of $110,000. This master plan will come immediately after the Gateway Transportation plan that's currently underway. We have 3 firms that are up for consideration. You've received copies of each response to the RFP, a copy of the presentation presented and any handouts presented at the oral presentation, a list or information regarding built projects that came out of their planning efforts. I'm glad to say that all 3 firms are represented here tonight.
Councilmember Diamond, how do you wish to proceed? Well, before we entertain a motion, does any council members have any questions or comments before we entertain a motion? Do you have a motion? Yes. Do we have a comment down here? Councilmember Price.
Just a question of staff. I know we whittled down the applicants to these 3, and in your estimation, are each of these qualified and capable of the project?
They all 3 are qualified to complete the project.
Thank you.
Councilmember Orland, was that a hand up?
No, earlier I was going to make a motion that if Nancy wasn't, but it looks like she's going to
Nancy,
make a motion.
Councilmember Wynn, any comments before we entertain a motion?
I do have a question for staff. Could you give us the priority of the 3 that you had?
The priority of the 3 recommended by the evaluation committee is number 1, JB plus A, number 2, TSW, number 3, DPZ.
Thank you.
Councilmember Diamond, do you wish to make a motion?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. First of all, I want to thank all the applicants and staff for all the due diligence on this. We have 3 not good choices. We have 3 excellent choices, and it has been very difficult to go through all these and look at all these exceptional projects and make one determination. I feel like we have an opportunity here to create a bold vision of what we could do for this important area of the city. And in looking at the different groups, one of the things that's continually come up is how can we make sure it gets done? Whatever we design, how can we give it the best chance of happening? And I've heard from a number of people that, we have some that are more known on a national or international scale than others. So I tested that, and I called some friends around the country and talked to their planning and zoning people in different cities, and I found that, in fact, there is one that does stand out, and is one that would be, that we are the envy of a lot of places, that we're in a position to have an opportunity to work with this group, who in a lot of ways literally wrote the book on what we're talking about doing here. So with that in mind, I would like to make a motion that we approve DPZ. Sorry.
Motion to approve DBVZ by Councilmember Diamond, second by Councilmember Price. Before we open up for further discussion by council, we're not going to be hearing from the applicants, but does anyone in the audience have any questions regarding this? Further discussion by council. Yes, Councilmember Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councilmember Diamond, that all three are very well represented, and I think they're all capable of doing a very good job. I do have some reservations about her choice, though, and it's two that stick in my mind. And I asked all three firms the same question about their experience with doing LCIs. And it seems like DPZ just does not have the experience that I think is necessary, because this is part of an LCI project. And if I'm right, Ms. Wakefield, it's $30,000 is the LCI.
That's
Am
correct.
I correct? So a third of it is being paid for by the LCI. And we do have a very short window to do this. And so my other concern is the other two firms, the majority of the team lives in Georgia, more or less, I would say, probably in the metro Atlanta area. So I think they would be more hands-on than the DPZ, because they only have two that live in Georgia. Those are my really two big concerns. I think all three, whoever gets it, I know y'all do a great job, but those are my two concerns that keeps popping up every time I look at that, is the experience of doing LCIs and the hands-on from people that actually live in our state.
Any further discussion before we, Councilman Orleans?
I want to agree with Nancy and Becky that all three firms seem to be excellent firms, excellent choices, and we're fortunate that we have all three of them interested in working with the city of Roswell. In addition to some of the points that Becky just made, I look at this as all of them are qualified, all of them can do a great job, all of them have done good jobs around the country. Staff did a lot of interviewing and has come up with their recommendation of JB plus A. We've got, I think, three of the companies that are located in Roswell, several individuals that are located in Roswell. They've dealt with LCI before. They've got some good plans that they've done. So at this point, I'd like to amend the motion that we recommend the staff recommendation of JB plus A.
That's not really an amendment. That would be a whole new motion. So we're going to
amendment.
No, sir. I'm ruling that would be a whole new motion, because it's not just amendment. It's totally changing that motion. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Councilmember DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to reiterate what my colleagues have said. I think all three firms are excellent firms. And it's a difficult choice when you look at the three with the accomplishments they've had. And I've really spent some time looking at each and trying to understand what their expertise is. And I think that each has a certain level of expertise that seems to pop up. I think JB plus A has done some outstanding landscape architecture projects. TSW has done some excellent architecture projects. And DPZ seems to be known more for their planning. And this is really, in my mind, much more of a town planning exercise. So with keeping all that in mind, I would lean toward DPZ.
I've heard from everybody. All in favor of the motion, raise their hands.
Wait, can I have a question? Ask a question?
Yes, you may ask a question.
Regarding this LCI, at what stage in this step of the process, how significant is the LCI experience, in staff's opinion?
Well, the LCI is significant in that it is part of a supplemental grant to the existing LCI. It also puts the city in a position to receive transportation implementation funds after this master plan is completed.
Is it fair to say that, in your opinion, would all three applicants qualified to satisfy the requirements of the LCI grant?
Yes, sir.
It's up to the council to decide who is best qualified. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, that would be to approve DPZ, raise their hands. Diamond, Dippolito, and Price. All opposed? Orleans and Wynn. Passes 3-2. Gentlemen, I wish we could hire all three organizations. I wish that perhaps that would be too many people for the job, but you are all very well qualified. And I hope that we have more work for you in the future. Thanks you for all of your efforts in coming here tonight. Next agenda item. We'll call, and gentlemen, you don't have to stick around. Thank you for coming. Transportation Department, Councilmember Betty Price.
The first item, or the only item, under transportation this evening is the approval to remove the no parking signs and add 8 bulb outs along Mimosa Boulevard at a cost not to exceed $68,750, and the approval of budget amendment 4210CP-01-23-12 in the amount of $68,750. Mr. Asenbrack is here to advocate for this project.
Thank you, Councilmember Price. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, good evening. I'm going to try a little bit of a high-tech solution here tonight. I'm using an iPad to try to show you how this works. I've got a full-scale drawing. I put the graphic in your packet, but as you know, when it's scaled down, it's rather small. So I've got plenty of graphics here to help. But of course, the issue is a long-standing issue that goes back many years, which is Mimosa Boulevard. And there were some concerns years ago about parking during daytime hours, site distance for property owners, both residences and commercial businesses, who had problems when people were parallel parking, couldn't get in and out, and there were some safety concerns there. There were also safety concerns about fire hydrants and mailboxes, and about people parking in the vicinity of mailboxes. So years ago, we put up signs that said no parking except for Sundays, to allow the Sunday parishioners to go to the church services on Mimosa. Since then, we've been asked to, since then, a number of things have changed. Mimosa Boulevard has morphed. It's not quite as residential as it used to be. Some of the residences have become commercial. So the people that didn't want us to park there before now want people to park there. We've also taken a very, very close, detailed look at every parking space along the corridor. And I have a... This doesn't really show up very well, does it? Maybe I could... It's kind of blurry. Can you... Well, we'll talk about this part at first. So this is the summary part, that we had 134 spaces out there.
So we're expanding the number of spaces?
We are expanding, Mayor. If you give the staff a little bit of time, we actually can get there. But we had to analyze the site distance triangles and some other things. We moved a few things. So you can see from this small summary that we've taken the 134. 3 of them we reviewed for site distance, and again they're located on your graphic. So we really just can't use those. 2 of them were located because of mailboxes, because of driveways. And then the mailbox ones, we got down to 3, and what we decided to do was to change and add we'd like to offer something like this, where we put up a no parking sign, but only for limited amounts of time. The Postal Service that we talked to said they deliver basically in the afternoon hours. And so that could be a standard space. If somebody parks their car there, they just move it for the mail to be delivered, and then they can move it back. So we think this is a nice compromise. And so at the end of the day, we end up having a net gain in spaces out there to 141. Now, what the Transportation Department has advised is that because of the wide, straight nature of the road, speeding tends to be a problem. Our speed studies, the 85th percentile of our speeds have it going 37 miles an hour in one direction and 43 miles an hour in another direction. And so posted at 30 miles an hour. So that's an issue. One of the courses of action, one of the options that we offered was to do what we call bulb outs. And I have some graphics here, and I'd like to explain this. These are some graphics that we picked off of the internet, but they're instructive for a number. Got a couple things to show you. So the bulb outs that we're talking about, you can see in this diagram that you've got the road would continue here, but the curb line has been bulbed out, as they call it. And what that does is that defines where the traveled way is versus where the parking area is. And it also reduces the travel distance that the pedestrians cross. We have a lot of pedestrians out in that area. So we identify where the parking areas are along the side of the road. We allow this choking to become a traffic calming measure. We shorten the area for pedestrians, and then as you can see here, you can landscape some of these areas. This obviously is not Roswell, but it shows some landscaped areas. Another action that we considered was the idea of a raised crosswalk. Of course, you're familiar with this because we have these on the Mimosa extension now, but this was a graphic that we found out that includes the extension and the raised crosswalk. So in the packet that we gave you, if we wanted to do the bulb outs with the raised pedestrian islands, we're in the $60,000 range is the staff estimate for that. If you only wanted to do the bulb outs without the raised islands, it's in the $40,000 range. And what that is just the construction estimate. One of the council members called me today and asked why the difference between what we had originally given you committee versus we've gone basically from $20,000 to $40,000. And that is because when we originally did the staff estimate, we were looking at the construction to install the curb line and redo it within the roadway itself. But Mimosa is an older road, and it has some structural deficiencies, and some of those are that the curb line is actually kind of been depressed in certain areas, so we're going to have to actually go into Mimosa itself and extend the amount of construction in order to bring everything up to the standard. We couldn't have one at one height and one at another height. All the heights have to be even in order to make the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I hope this is helpful for you in why our rationale was to help preserve the safety of the corridor, help with safety with traffic calming, help the pedestrian mobility for crossing, and provide some landscaping.
So, Jason Brack, you have done magic. Not only have you come up with a great plan, you've changed my position on this.
Oh, that's good to hear, Mayor.
So that is, as council knows, to get me to change my mind is magic. It very seldom happens, but with overwhelming persuasiveness and a great project, you have won me over. Councilman Orlov.
I like this approach better than the raised pavement. I think it looks better and defines those parking lanes. How much additional maintenance are you guys going to have, or is the city going to have, with these little 8 bulb outs? Do you see any issues with that at all?
No, sir. Councilmember Price and I discussed that at length today. Couple points. You'll recall that we put those medians out on Crabapple, for instance, and we did stamped concrete out there. There's virtually no maintenance. With this, we're talking about some modest landscaping opportunities in the bulb outs to try to make the corridor look nice. I think it was Councilman Price's suggestion that perhaps we get the nearby churches. The crosswalks are located in the vicinity of the churches. Perhaps they would adopt those areas and include them in their landscaping. That would be our preference. So no additional cost to the city.
Councilmember DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Eisenbrecht, I want to compliment you on the use of your iPad.
Thank you.
That's a new twist.
Get into the high-tech world here.
When we had discussed this at committee, we had talked about doing this with striping. Did you price that out?
Striping would be very minimal. The unfortunate thing is the striping will not get us several of the key aspects. If this was not raised in this particular diagram, it's largely it's two-dimensional as opposed to the third dimension. So most of the people are basically just going to drive right over it. The sidewalk really can only be shortened between structural members. So if we just striped the area, we probably would have to have the sidewalk go the full way, because a pedestrian's not going to feel safe standing in the middle of the road with just maybe some striping underneath their feet. If they're above the ground, or if they're in the protective area of the raised curb, they're going to feel more safe. So we can do some striping, but it won't be as effective with traffic calming, and it won't really get us the image that we're looking for Mimosa, and it won't really do anything for traffic calming. It will partition out some of the asphalt, but I think it's going to have limited. There's so much asphalt out in Mimosa. That's one of our challenges.
Mm-hmm. I like the bulb outs at the square and at the other end of the street. So as you're kind of entering the corridor, it slows you down. I'm not so sure about the bulb outs in the middle of the street. And once you have cars parked there, it kind of solves your issue of wanting to slow the traffic down, which is what on-site parking does. And I'm a little confused because you're talking about having pedestrians walking on these bulb outs, but then we talked about landscaping. Are they landscaped or are they concrete?
Well, see the landscaping? So you have the sidewalk going through.
So it'd be a mix.
It'll be mixed. Now this could be concrete. But we do the whole thing in concrete. We could do it in brick, stamped like we did, colored stamped brick like we did out on the things, and then that's instantly zero maintenance. But the landscaping has a small water quality benefit in that rainwater would filter through there and purify it through the groundwater. So that's minor, actually, probably 6 1/2 of the other, dozen of the other, but we're not talking about a big landmass.
Have you looked at this in the context of an overall landscape plan for the street?
We really need to. What we've been focused on here recently is just the parking spaces and the timing of trying to get the signs down. I believe that Mimosa probably begs for a master plan. I mean, there's just so much that really could be done out there, and at some point it may even exceed our capabilities. Maybe some of these 3 firms that you were just talking about probably in a lot better position to give us the kind of visionary plan that would be just make Mimosa just come alive. But what we're focused on the transportation and the safety aspect, and we thought this was a reasonable compromise to get the signs down as quickly as possible.
I like the idea of getting the signs down, and I thought we had solved that with just the striping. I'm a little hesitant to say I'm okay with the bulb outs when we haven't really looked at this from a true streetscape standpoint, because if you just drop these bulb outs in there, they may just not fit in. And we have an opportunity, like you said, to do something really nice on the street. So maybe we need to take a step back. We can go ahead and stripe it for now, maybe.
Sure.
And go ahead and take a step back.
We could do that.
And look at it from a streetscape standpoint, and then figure out where to put the bulb outs.
One of the areas that the bulb outs, one of the heavy pedestrian crossing areas is by the Baptist Church, and of course that's where Oxbow intersects Mimosa, and that is one of the terminal points of the Oxbow design. So that actually under design right now, and we looked hard to try to make sure that what we were doing accommodates the future design. But there's going to be there's definitely some drainage improvements that need to be done at that intersection, and Oxbow is going to address all that. So some of what we're suggesting now may not survive when Oxbow is completed, and we like to not tear stuff out, obviously. But I understand your point. Unfortunately, Oxbow is several years down the road. We were looking for some short-term fixes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Wynn.
Mr. Asenbrack.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. I'm the council member, by the way, that we had that long talk about it. I understand what you're doing. I think it's a great project. I'm very concerned about the money because we're asking triple for what was said in committee. Did you, and I asked you if you could do this for me, did you look at MARTA money? If
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
any money left in our MARTA?
This would qualify under the MARTA guidelines as we were given them, and it's interesting you bring this up because it's actually 2 days from now at the Transportation Committee meeting. This will be an agenda item to discuss the old MARTA program.
Right.
Today, given that some of the projects are still under construction and we haven't gotten the final bills yet, we're sitting on $310,000, $330,000 as our fund balance right now.
But we don't know if that's being spent or if we're under budgeted or over budgeted or whatever.
We
right now.
definitely have more needs in that program than we have funds. So there's a lot of competition for those dollars.
Okay, but this project would
qualify
would
for
qualify
that.
for that.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not going to have any more questions, but I will have some comments after the motion's made.
I love this project.
Thank you, Mayor.
I was won over. I think Mimosa was Roswell's Main Street before Canton Street. I think we have neglected it for a long time. I really like what you've come up with here.
Thank you.
I think we need
Mayor.
bulb out somewhere in the middle because where they hit 40 miles an hour is not at the beginning or the end of the street. It's halfway down the street.
Yes, sir.
That's where you need traffic calming because you have to stop at either end. So if I only had one bulb out, it would be in the middle and not at either end.
Right.
It makes it a lot more pedestrian friendly when you shorten that distance to get across.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we really need to make Mimosa is get more pedestrians on that street and help those businesses and so I see a lot can be done here. As far as what could we do with the master transfer landscaping Mimosa Street, other than the street itself, it's pretty darn well landscaped. Great Oaks is a great example of
Yes,
landscaping. That you get in front of the historic homes and on the southern end, you're not going to have any landscaping there. There's not a whole lot more landscaping to be done on this corridor because of all the trees and what great shape it's in. The real place that is needed is between the curb, from the curb over, which is just this big street that's wider than what it should be right
Yes,
now.
sir.
So I don't see much happening behind the current curbs. I think everything is happening here, and I hope we can find the money for this project. And I hope we don't make a huge, long, extended study out of this thing. I know we want to get the signs down, and what I would hate to see is stripe this thing and lose the momentum, because for what we're getting here on a premier showcase street for the city of Roswell, changes the environment on the street. So you've won me over totally.
Thank you, Mayor.
Other comments? Councilmember Orleans.
I just want to quickly say that I actually agree with the mayor.
Wow.
On all those points. And I'd like to see us move forward with it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Price.
Mr. Eschenbeck, previously we had a amount suggested or recommended or requested in the amount of 20,000.
That was our quick
That was
kind
it.
of back of the envelope estimate
Okay.
when we were first looking at this.
But at that time, we had like a great deal number more of bulb outs, did we not?
No, that was the original. Well, we had presented a plan that had 50-some bulb outs at one time. We went nuts with this, but listening to your concerns about the signs and trying to figure out perhaps a first phase to just get the signs down and still create that corridor that we were looking for. What we did was we looked at bulb outs on each end so that the drivers that were started on the right frame of reference. And then we had, as the mayor points out, sort of concentrated them in the middle, where really the bulk of the problem is. You're right. The speeds don't occur on the end. They occur in the middle. So we thought we had a fairly good balance. Even after talking with you today, we've actually narrowed it down from 8 to actually 7. We took one of them out near Magnolia because of the queuing that occurs sometimes in that area, and the bulb out might create some friction out there, so we could do away with the one bulb out.
So does that bring the cost down?
It would, yes, ma'am. And again, these are estimates, so once we send this out to bid, we'll get the contractors to, hopefully the free market will help us.
Now, can you clarify again? There are pink asterisks that denote spaces that are added, but I count 5 asterisks, and the print is so small. Which ones have more than one? Which asterisks represent more than one space added?
Remove 2 here. Is this what you're talking about?
No, the pink stars. The pink stars that are supposed to add up to 7 additional spaces, but there's only 5 stars. Must be at the other end.
Down here?
Okay, so which ones of those have more than one space?
Okay,
There's
so
one that
this
has
is-
3.
this is-
Okay,
this
oh,
is
that's
the
one.
square.
Yeah.
And so there's several on the
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
east side and a couple on the west side.
Okay.
And so some of these are associated with the MARTA project that we've got. You'll see here that this area down here where 120 and Mimosa intersect near Barrington Hall, we've already got some projects down there to add a few. That project is already about to be let to construction, and so those will already be constructed. But since then, we've also found a few other spots where we can add. Still a little blurry. Can you? Is that blurry on your monitors?
Sure it is.
That's better. That looks better here. Does that help?
Okay, in talking with folks that have entities on the street, I mean, I know one at the north end was one that was really wanting street parking, and unfortunately it appears that that's the location, the area where most of the spaces will be taken away.
There are a few spaces out there that really should never have been parking spaces.
Okay. Then my other concern, and there may be a representative here from the Baptist Church. I think Mr. Ray was going to come. Yes, I see him. And there's an issue at that corner where the bulb outs are shown related to drainage. There's a huge drain there, but it's often inadequate. So is this going to be coordinated with Public Works at this time?
We made some improvements there a couple years ago. There was some standing water there during heavy rain events. We've done as much as we can do until the Mimosa Boulevard, until the Oxbow project is let to construction. Really, we're about as good as we can get. There just isn't enough fall for the water, and the inlets are very old, and they just don't really give us much to work with.
And then you indicated if it was flat and not raised, it would bring the price down to about $40,000. But if they're raised, it'd be in the 60 range.
The raised crosswalks, like what we
Right.
have on the Mimosa extension, that was the difference between the 40 and the 60 number.
Right, but the request is, right now, is 68.
That was for everything. That's for all the bulb outs and the raised crosswalks.
So if not all of them were raised, for instance, at this north end, I'm not sure, certainly when we take away one of the bulb outs, there wouldn't be any need for a raise there. The other two, I don't know that there's that much pedestrian traffic that would make a difference, but the one at Oxbow probably is one that could very much benefit from a raised crosswalk. So that, again, should bring us down, could bring us down the nature.
Here at the Baptist Church?
Yeah, it could bring us down, what, 2/3 of 20,000. Somebody do the math. But in any case,
Councilmember Price.
Yes.
Try to cut to the chase.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion.
You're going to be making a motion here today.
I'd like to make a motion.
So, do you wish to defer this? Do you wish to try to work these problems out tonight? Do you wish to make a motion on part and bring a motion on the other part?
I'd like to make a motion.
Microphone.
I mean, I think that number needs to be whittled down a bit, but my main motion is to remove the non-parking signs on Mimosa Street from Magnolia to 120, to remove 3 parking spaces as indicated on the proposed parking plan, and to add 7 spaces as on the proposed plan, and add 5 spaces in the MARTA project for a total of 141 spaces, to include 7 bulb outs, one of which would have raised walk across in the amount of, I'll just say it, not to exceed $45,000.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Well,
we have a second. Now I expect we're going to have some discussion. And there's the possibility for an amendment to the motion. Discussion. Councilmember Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a great project, too, but what I'm hearing tonight is we're adding, taking away, deleting, adding. So, I don't think we should be sitting here trying to vote on a revised plan that I can't see and see how much it's going to cost. Another thing that I have concerns about is the $68,750 that will be coming out of contingency, which leaves us less than $20,000 in our contingency funds. I would like to see if there's other monies. MARTA is one.
Yes.
Is there another project? Is Midtown or Oak Street something else? Is there money someplace else that we can use for this? That's another one of my concerns. I think it's a great project. I think this is something that needs to be done to Mimosa. This is not really a health and safety issue where I think that we need to go right away on it. I would like to either ask for a deferral to the committee meeting on Wednesday morning, if that would give you enough time, or really defer it to give staff more time to look at the revisions that Council Member Price is looking at and bring up some more options to be able to fund this project.
There is a motion for deferral. Is there a second on the motion for deferral?
I would like to clarify the motion for deferral. I think we're in agreement. It sounds like there's agreement on the striping, and I know there's a sense of urgency to try to get the striping and the signs down. So I'd hate to delay that. But as far as the design of the bulb outs and so forth, is that what we're deferring?
Here's my concern: is I would support taking the signs down, but when you do something, whether it's striping, even if it's just as minimal as striping, you're sort of making a decision, and I would rather not commit to. If we stripe it, then I've got some folks. Why did you stripe it, and why did you do something else? So I'm reluctant to. I'm not reluctant to take the signs down, but I'm reluctant to make decisions even about striping until we resolve all these other issues, because even though it's minor, it's still money, and I hate being indecisive and spend money being indecisively. So I would support a motion to defer everything other than taking the signs down, but I'd like to see the signs come down.
Yeah, well, I was trying to move forward with getting the signs down, getting the striping done, and doing the rest of the
I
design
accept his,
later.
I accept his amendment to my motion.
What is the amendment?
I would assume that to remove the
No,
signs.
let's not assume. Let's
Okay,
let's
I will
get the
let
amendment
Council-
on the floor, because the
Councilmember-
presiding officer does not understand the minute.
Yes, you do.
Motion.
No. Okay, the amendment is to remove the signs immediately and bring back to committee a revised plan and options on sources of funding on this project.
I can support that. The motion to remove the signs, bring the rest of the project back for discussion.
Yes, sir.
That would be the amendment. Is there a second to that amendment? Second by Diamond.
Question.
Councilman Orleans.
I guess I'm not sure what we're trying to do with deferral. We have a plan. We've talked about it before. We've outlined a number of spaces that's going to be affected. I thought there was until now, there's some good consensus for putting those bulb outs with the landscaping. I was going to suggest in an amendment to remove the raised pavement to save money there, because I think that the bulb outs will accomplish what we need without the raised pavement, so that would save money. So we're talking a neighborhood of $40,000. So I guess I don't understand the need to defer it. And I mean, they pay us the big bucks to make decisions up here, and I think we've had enough information over the last 2 months to make a decision.
You think you got 3 votes? I'm just trying to move the decision along. Right now, I have a motion to defer, which takes precedent over the main motion.
Oh, to finish what I was saying is I'm not in favor of deferring.
Okay. Councilmember Price.
No, I'm not in favor of deferral either, because that's the exact same motion I made a month ago, and it was knocked down because we wanted to have a specific plan. So now we have a specific plan. We want to defer to what we wanted.
You're getting the signs down.
I know. I wanted to get that down a month ago, and they said no because they wanted to see a plan. Now
getting what you
now getting
want
the
now.
signs down is okay, but we don't have to have a plan? Okay, fine. Let's defer.
Councilmember Wynn.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, the thing is, yes, we did want a plan, but now we're revising the plan that was presented to us. So that's my concern. And if staff if it's not too short, they can bring it back Wednesday to the committee Wednesday, which means we're looking at maybe February 14 to make the decision. So it's not like we're dragging our feet. It's going to be another month or 6 months or 12 months. That's what we're looking at. I'm just concerned about mostly where the money's coming from, because at committee it was $26,000. It is now almost $70,000, and that brings our contingency fund down to less than $20,000. I think there's other ways to be able to fund this, and that's what I'd like to see. Now, if there's a way to move this forward without the funding right now, I have no problems with that. It's the funding that I'm having an issue with.
We move nothing forward without funding. Councilmember Diamond.
My concern is how much is this actually going to cost? And I don't know that we can tell that because we take off something here and there. I'm not getting the feeling that that is necessarily an equitable amount of money we're cutting off our bottom line. Is that what I'm hearing or seeing in your body language when we start talking about money?
Well, right. I mean, we're really until the bids come in with a contractor. We go out on a limb with these estimates. We know what the prevailing market is doing, but until the bids actually come in, it's always a bit of a risk for us. So well, that's all I'll say about it.
Question.
Councilmember, not council members. Our city administrator would like to add clarification on funding, I believe.
Perhaps for clarification, since it's a bid, we typically don't do the budget amendment before we know the final amount. We've given an estimate, but we could hold off on the budget amendment because you have to award the item based upon the bid. So tonight, it's not necessary to get a budget amendment approved if they give us permission to proceed with the bid and come back with that award and budget amendment at the same time, which is typical.
If we could go back, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember
If we could go
Price.
back to my original motion regarding or I'll make a new motion, or are we in the middle of a motion?
Well, we will hear you out, but the motion on the floor is a motion to take the signs down and to bring
okay.
back the rest of the plan to committee this Wednesday to try to sort out through some of the details.
Okay, the objection I heard, though, is to the money. And
I think it partly objection to the money, partly where's the money coming from, and partly exactly what variation of the plan. Is it with crosswalks, without crosswalks, how many bulb outs? It's in flux. Yes, wait a minute. I want to finish with this, to my right, because they had their hands up next. Councilmember Price Orleans, anything you would like to add to that?
well, only that I've in extensive working with the neighbors and the department, and from where we started, it seems reasonable with 7 bulb outs. I don't think it's reasonable with the raised crosswalks, with the exception of one location, and everything else I think works very well. So if there's objections to that plan, then
I don't think there are objections to that plan as much as a wish to study it another couple of days.
Well, if people don't come to the meetings prepared, that's too bad.
Councilmember Orleans.
Well, I think if Councilwoman Wynn's concern was the determining exactly where the money's coming first, which I agree with, what the city administrator outlined is that we can approve the project to go forward. It's kind of like the chicken or the egg. We can't get quotes until the project's approved, and we can't get the costs until the quotes are in. So if we can approve the project without the funding yet, get some definite cost, then we can move forward on the cost of it. So, again, trying not to defer it and drag it on longer.
Councilmember Diamond.
Yeah, that was my concern. Was part of that motion was a cap on the money not to exceed $45,000, and I don't know that we've established that is doable with the things we've put out there.
Councilmember Wynn.
Okay. I'd like to ask Ms. Love for clarification, please. So, tonight, if we approve the plan that's in our packet tonight, and yes, I am prepared because I've looked at everything. That's how come I called Mr. Eisenbrecht this afternoon to clarify. If we approve this tonight and it goes out to bid, and I'm assuming that the Transportation Department and whoever they're working with, we will look at what is feasible in this, but it still has to come back to council to approve, number 1, the plan, and number 2, the monies. Am I correct?
Yes, related to the monies, I think to go out to bid, we need to know what we're going out to bid for, so we need some guidance on the plan. But I was just speaking mainly to the money portion of it. It's no different than us. If you had appropriated some money in the budget, we went out to bid, and the bids came back higher, we'd be coming to award a contract with the budget amendment. So as long as you approve the project and us going out, you're not going to approve the money on the back end anyway until you have an idea about that cost. Bid documents all the time say we reserve the right to reject any and all bids for any reason. So we have great latitude related to if you want to do the project, then we need to know more about the plan before we go out to bid.
Okay, and see, that's my concern, is that what I'm hearing from most of my colleagues is that they like the plan in the packet. And it does, and my understanding is that y'all went out there, and I'm talking transportation, to look at what would work out in that area. Am I correct?
Yes.
And you went from 12 bulb outs down to 8 bulb outs. 8. And then you decided to raise crosswalks because that would be compatible to what's on Mimosa Extension.
Right. Well,
okay.
we gave that basically as an option. So you could have just the bulb outs, or you could have the bulb outs and the raised crosswalks. It's your pleasure.
My concern is that we are now looking at approving a plan that I have not seen to go out for bid, and that's my concern. I think we either send the one that's out in the packet to bid, that's in our packet now, that everybody has had enough time to look at, or we defer until we get a plan that council can look at to make sure that is what's going out to bid. That's my
Just, Mr. Mayor, for clarification, there's nothing different in your packet than what we're talking about tonight, with the exception of the removal of one bulb out. That's it. Everything else is the same.
And base crosswalks, you
That's
talked
not
about
even in the plan. It's not even in the plan. He's given us the possibility that with raised, it's 60,000. Without raised, it's flat. So that's not even on the plan, one way or the other.
A suggestion, Mr. Asenbrack.
Yes, sir.
When we send this out to bid, would it be possible to ask the bidders to give us two prices?
Alternates?
Sure. One with crosswalks, one without crosswalks.
Yes, sir.
And the council could make that decision.
Yes, sir. In fact, talking with Michael Fisher, Assistant City Administrator, we discussed just today, the city has on-call services contracts, and we had never thought about this before, but it's there's some language in the on-call services that talks about concrete and asphalt and those sorts of things. We might be able to, if we got a scope, if for instance, and Mayor, your position is a good one, we could go, give us a price for bulb outs and give us an alternate for adding raised crosswalks, given that they have that capability, and we could probably get a turnaround, a cost estimate pretty fast. I'm not sure we could get it by Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, but that's an option for us, I believe.
All right. Well, here's where we are right now. I give motions for deferral precedent over the main motion. If there's a motion to defer, we vote on that first. Now, I like the idea of going forward and approving this project and getting alternate bids, but there is a motion to defer
Mr.
on
Mayor,
the floor.
I'm going to withdraw my motion to defer.
Motion to defer is withdrawn.
Well, amend mine.
So let's see if we can go back and get a clear. Let me see if I can restate the motion as I understand it. Councilmember Price, you have your hand.
I'll restate the motion, taking into consideration our discussion, if that's permissible.
Please do.
Number 1, remove the no parking signs on Mimosa Street. Number 2, move forward with the design as presented, the proposed parking plan, with the exception of one bulb out. Number 3, request bids for this project, including the variables of raised or not raised crosswalks.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Councilman Orleans. Further discussion by council. Councilmember DiPolito.
I have a couple questions. The plan in our package is really just a concept sketch. It's not even to scale. As far as...
It is to scale.
It says NTS, which to me means not to scale.
Well, all right.
Close.
Fair.
It's not engineered.
Reasonably to scale. It's not a survey. Well, that's correct. That's true.
Well, I guess part of my question is, are we going out to bid based on a concept sketch, or are we going to actually have some drawings done of what we're doing?
In my opinion, the sketch is close enough to go to a contractor and say we want, because there's basically, these are called typical details, which is the height of the curve, the radius, those sorts of things. We just tell them where they're going to go, and they'll give us a bid. Basically, we've got quantities now, and we basically compare our quantities with their quantities, and we talk about prices, and that's how they come up with their bids. So I don't think we need to do it like an engineering drawing, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I was kind of curious where we were in the design process. So you all have been out there and measured this and figured out how big these islands are?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you know how much sidewalk we have versus landscaping?
Yeah, that's how we did the estimate.
Okay.
So, right, I don't need surveying, and I don't need any more design than this. This is for this level of basically kind of like what I go back to the raised islands that we did out on Crabapple. We had a contractor go build us one and made sure that was the right spec at our Hembry yard, and then we went out to the public and built them. So, yes, we have everything we need.
Okay. That information was not in here, so it's...
I'm sorry. I apologize, but yes, we're prepared to go to bid. Once we get the scope, we'll send it to the construction world.
Any questions or comments from the floor? Any further discussion by council? Councilmember Price.
In looking over the previous committee meetings from 2005, there was an issue of whether or not there would be a hearing for this. Did one ever happen, or is this considered a hearing, or is one necessary?
This is considered a public hearing.
Thank you. So if someone wishes to speak, they need to do it now.
They have been given their opportunity. All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Unanimous. You're a wonderful group.
Thank you.
And at this time, we need a motion for closure to discuss items of real estate and personnel. Motion to approve. Is there a second? All in favor, raise their hands. Unanimous. We have a short work session to discuss the budget process. We got through it. Unanimously.